The best reason to play Stasis Hunter is Mask of Bakris. This exotic is incredibly fun, and for some reason, it's only available for Stasis. I'm not sure why. They could technically change this and have it be available for any subclass. The Hunter subclass is called Revenant. A fallen captain stalks his prey through the barrens of Europa, servitor at his back. The wind kicks up shimmering plumes of frost. He doesn't see the frozen comma hurtling towards him. It strikes with a deafening crack. The servitor is gone. The captain flees for cover, but it's too late. He is frozen in a crystalline prison. His battle cry freezes in his throat. There is only deafening silence. He sees a shadow approaching, cloaked in the ice and whirling snow, but it vanishes as quickly as it appeared. Fear grips him as he scans the white wastes. A second comma pierces the ice shelf. Biting whirlwinds erupt and tear at his frozen body. He catches a glimpse of the shadow and the squall, rifle in hand. The hunt has ended. He shatters in the wind. What you choose to use really depends on your playstyle. They make small changes, and some things have been considered OP, but with the recent nerfs in the game, you may want to go through and just figure out what works for you. As always, I prefer the marksman's dodge. I personally like the dodge that reloads all of my weapons, and whenever I switch back to my warlock, this is the one ability that I envy. I love this dodge. Triple jump. A lot of people use triple jump. Some people, for some reason, like the double jump, one of the double jumps. This one here, I think, gives you a lot more leeway with platforming. Withering Blade is the stasis melee. You can toss a stasis shuriken at targets to damage and slow them. This is a lot of fun. And you have a choice of several grenades. I'm currently using Cold Snap grenades, a grenade that freezes on impact and sends another seeker to find and freeze targets. This was nerfed hardcore because of PvP. Before that, everyone was using Duskfield grenade. I'm finding Duskfield really is not that great right now, which is sad. And then, of course, you can always use Glacier grenade. If you decide to use Shatter Dive, which I believe is over here, yes. If you decide to use Shatter Dive, this pairs really well with Glacier grenade. For aspects, I am using Grim Harvest, a worn blade hewn by vicious crystalline razors, a single edge now severed into 1,000. You run the universe itself and drink its seeping energy. Defeating slowed or frozen combatants creates stasis shards. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by you and your allies. And I've paired this with Winter Shroud, desire for legacy to be known, preserved in sterile glass. The world stops and starts at your command. Dodging slows nearby targets. There's a lot you can do with Grim Harvest. With the stasis shards that are left behind, and trust me, there will be a lot. The fragments complement Grim Harvest, depending on what you choose. I'm using Whisper of Torment. You gain grenade energy each time you take damage from targets. Whisper of Bonds, defeating frozen targets grants you super energy. And Whisper of Rhyme, collecting a stasis shard grants a small amount of overshield, which falls off after 10 seconds. Collecting additional shards adds to the overshield and refreshes the timer. As you collect fragments, you can always look down here to see everything that is available. I don't believe I'm using a meta build at all, but it wouldn't be me if I was using a meta build. Normally, I pick an exotic that is the center of a build, something that really helps with the abilities of that subclass, but that isn't really the case here. There is no stasis exotic that enhances the abilities. However, we do have Mask of Bakris, which can only be used with stasis. And one thing to really consider when using this, while it does give you an improved dodge, and that's what everyone loves about it, Light Shift is an added armor perk. It replaces your stasis subclass dodge ability with a longer range, faster moving shift that partially cloaks you during use.
Whoa! What was that dodge?
Here's the fun part. After shifting, your arc weapons deal increased damage to combatants for a short time, and you deal increased damage to all slowed or frozen combatants. Guys, this is noticeable, especially if you're using Anarchy. So what I'll do, especially in boss fights, is I'll chuck my super, throw a grenade at the boss, throw a shuriken, and of course I'll tag him with Anarchy. I actually tag with Anarchy first and do my dodge, and then I'll throw everything else, and you'll start seeing yellow numbers coming out everywhere. I cast off my carapace to be reborn, just like our glorious Reese. Atrax 1, Fallen Exo. No, leave her be. Praxis foresaw this. You will be silent. Don't listen to them, Atrax. Focus on my voice. That is not you, Atrax. It is not. Do not turn away. That body belongs to someone else. It wears a mask. Just a mask. Take the mask off. Reach down and touch it. Good. Now take it off. Pull harder. This imposter is clever. The mask is affixed. You must cut it free. Take this blade. Do not hesitate. Do not poke. Chop it. Smash it. Yes. Good. More. More. Wet your hands in this imposter's gore. Spread it about. Good. There, you have it now. You have removed the mask. Does that look like your body now? No. It is an empty thing. I will take this mask and clean it. When others wear it, you will not see your face in it. You will know it is a mask. Most of my builds use a solar helmet because of this fun little mod right here, Ashes to Assets. Currently, this is a seasonal mod, which is why it's turquoise and only 1 point. It's usually 3 points. We'll switch this up next season. Because this is only 1 point, I was able to put an armor mod on here. Currently using a recovery mod. So this gives me time to get some new armor pieces that have a little bit more recov. And hopefully I'll get those before I have to go back to a 3-point Ashes to Assets. As you can see, the energy bar is full, so this is kind of a big deal. I do use a grenade launcher ammo finder because I'm using Anarchy with Mask of Bakris. The two are so good together. Anarchy is just amazing, and it's one of my favorite power weapons. If you're doing a lot of solo things like Legend and Master Lost Sectors, or you're running a lot of Nightfalls, anything like that, Anarchy is excellent because you can tag the boss twice. And if you're going against a champion, you can focus on using the champion modded weapons to stun the bosses as Anarchy destroys them. If it's a boss fight, you can tag him twice to get that extra damage, and then use a sniper rifle or a shotgun, two of the things that we use a lot in our raids, to add added damage while Anarchy is doing its job. With Mask of Bakris, if you're using Anarchy, you'll also dodge to get the added damage boost for about 10 seconds. If you're using a shotgun or a sniper rifle, that's arc and actually good for boss DPS because there's more to good boss DPS than just energy type and archetype. You have to have certain barrels, mags, perks on those weapons to really maximize damage. But if you do have a good arc weapon to pair with Anarchy, then you've got a great combination for Mask of Bakris. So I typically do use an ammo finder when I'm using my Anarchy because I do use it a lot. Again, Ashes to Assets, you gain bonus super energy on grenade kills. I find that I don't have as much luck with getting that super energy with my stasis grenades. Stasis just works a little different from what I'm used to. So I typically won't do a double Ashes to Assets with stasis. I do with the other subclasses that have more AoE type grenades. With that said, grenades are incredibly useful. So I am also using the firepower mod. While charged with light, regain a portion of your grenade energy when you use your grenade, consuming only 1 stack of charged with light. Guys, this makes a huge difference. It does say that it stacks with other copies, but honestly, You don't really need it. You could max out on 2 or 3 and probably get a full grenade back, but I think this gives you like maybe 4/10 of your energy. I haven't really noticed this season what it's giving me, but it is significant. I am using solar gauntlets on this build. Now, I decided to start putting taking charge on all of my gauntlets on almost all of my builds because this is one of the lowest energy cost mods in the Charge with Light mods. And the reason why I like to save energy costs with Charge with Light mods is because I really like the arms armor mods that come on the different energy types. And on the solar, you get impact induction. Causing damage with a melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. I do have 2. So I really like having this on the build because, again, it's one ability feeding another. And when you're doing ability builds, that's pretty much what you want to do. Is anytime you use one ability, you're feeding another ability. Most of my builds have arc chest armor because I do abuse heavy-handed on most builds. And if I'm not using heavy-handed, I'm usually using striking light. Sometimes I use reactive pulse. I haven't used that in a while. And because you can't control when it goes off. And then Lucent Blade is a good one. High energy fire is on all of them, so that doesn't really matter. So I would say build your build around the arc specific mods. And then if you end up needing high energy fire, this is where I'm usually going to put it. This is an amazing mod. It costs a lot. It is 7 energy. I typically avoid mods that cost this much, but this thing will give you back most of your melee. So while charged with light, regain half of your melee energy when you use a charged melee ability, consuming 1 stack of charge with light. And the secondary perk is while surrounded by multiple combatants, defeating a combatant with a fusion rifle, shotgun, sidearm, or SMG adds ammo for that weapon to your reserves. I'm actually using both an SMG and a shotgun in this build, so that's perfect. It says it only gives you half of your melee energy back, but I swear it seems like a lot more. But again, when your mods are feeding each other, you're gonna get that melee back super fast. And as standard, I always put a sniper damage resistance and melee damage resistance, or some other variation of these depending on what I'm going into. If I'm taking a lot of arc damage, for example, if I'm going up against a ton of Fallen who hit really hard, I might want to do arc resistance and sniper resistance. If I'm going up against Taken, I'm probably going to want to use concussive dampener because they use a lot of AoE fire. If I'm using a solar chest armor, then I could put solar damage resistance on. I have the healing legs on. So this is what most of my solar legs look like. And I really like solar because you have recuperation. Each time you pick up an orb of power, it replenishes your health. I believe you get about 50% of your health back. And then, of course, Innervation, every time you pick up an orb of power, it reduces your grenade cooldown. So we have a lot of different mods reducing our grenade cooldown. And with Stasis, it's wonderful because everything just freezes. Now, if you're using a Charge with Light build, which is what this is, you want to be able to collect as many stacks of light as possible. And you can normally collect 2 stacks of light without any mods like this. Adding Supercharge lets you collect 2 additional stacks of Charge with Light. So now we're going to have 4 with this build. If I were to add Charged Up to another armor piece, we could have 5. Charged Up will add an additional stack. So if I put Charged Up instead of Supercharged, this build would have 3 stacks instead of 4. And be mindful that 5 is the most that you can have. This season's cloak is all about the super. There is a class item mod, so you get this from the seasonal artifact called Glacial Inheritance. Defeating targets with your stasis super refund super energy. Guys, this makes a huge difference. It's worth it. Pop it on, and then you've got Bomber. Using your class ability reduces your grenade cooldown, so whenever I dodge, it gives me grenade energy back. And then I'm using 1 Elemental Well mod, Elemental Light. Defeating a combatant with your super spawns an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy type. Picking up an Elemental Well grants energy to your ability with the lowest current energy. Picking up an Elemental Well whose element matches your subclass damage type grants energy to all of your abilities. And that's the Stasis build. It's that simple. Now, the seasonal mod here, I think this is the only one I'm using that is going away, that can't be replaced by a gray mod. So if you remember, we have a seasonal mod up on the helmet, but that Ashes to Assets mod is also a regular gray mod, which means you'll be able to use that for 3 energy points when the season resets. However, this is going away. And what I'll do next season is I'll either look for a mod to replace it, or I'll just maybe stick on double bomber or distribution. A quick look at the weapons. Like I said, I generally like to use Anarchy with Mask of Bakris because of the arc damage boost you get after dodging. You can also use, you could probably also use an arc sword. This will work just fine. For those of you who want to know my rolls, I do have Tempered Edge. I want to get Jagged Edge on this. Swordmaster's Guard, Relentless Strikes, and Whirlwind Blade. I need to keep farming that. My Prophet of Doom. This is not my god roll, but it is a good roll. This is a great shotgun. And I chose this one specifically because it's arc. You get this from the Garden of Salvation raid. This one has Barrel Shroud, Accurized Rounds, Full Auto Trigger, and Rampage. I do like Full Auto Trigger for PvE. Overall, this is a great shotty. I've used it for farming a lot of different pinnacle weapons. And then my Friction Fire. Man, guys, this roll feels amazing. I am still farming this, trying to get a TAC magazine, but I may not get it. But either way, if you're looking for a good Friction Fire, let me preface this by saying this thing felt like crap until I got this roll. So I'm rocking the Fluted Barrel with a Flared Magwell. This helps with reload, but I'd rather have TAC mag, which helps with all sorts of things. And then Threat Detector and Rampage. I'm actually finding I typically didn't go for too many Threat Detector SMGs, but I am really liking this. So I think Threat Detector and Rampage is my new combo for SMGs. All right, let's go out into the wild and test this build.
Ooh, that's a pretty pile of glimmer. Hold them off while I transmit this. giant heap of glimmer incoming.
My word, you'll have to keep some for yourself, you know.